Oh, yeah, okay. Double
Restrat.
shot.
No, we got to restrat. Okay, let's
Miracles happen. Is there a liquid first?
Yeah.
So
Oh.
call. Scott with kings here. This is a big hand.
The champ.
My second favorite hand, pocket kings.
Champ is here.
Raise it. 110. 115. 115.
You can
Well,
hold.
Gandon, look first at telling
Alright,
one
he
time,
opens
not
it.
how many times. 110, 115, 114. Sucker.
Armenian Mike just
You need
gets
me to
mad a
translate
lot.
that?
I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
He
Translate.
said you. You should.
Yeah, I think I
Oh, looks like Eli is definitely going to be in there. It looks like we're going to go
Yeah, I mean,
5
he's a
ways
little
to a
rusty,
flop
but-
here. I can't imagine anything else than that happens.
You better learn it. If you live in LA, you better learn it.
Mike's teaching me.
Mom bot.
Well,
Slowly learning too.
let's see.
Oh, we got
Five
five-way
players.
action here.
Oh,
Wow. And that is top 2 pair for
Check,
Eli.
check.
Uh-oh, this is going to be trouble for Scott.
This is definitely trouble for Scott.
And Eli covers him, of course.
350.
Who, did Brian just lead 350?
Wow, random.
Jeez.
And this is like such a draw-heavy
You're free rolling.
This
board
is-
too.
This is the
dangerous.
kind of bet that causes
Got a wife with 40
insanity with the other players.
Exactly.
Like he's gonna cause Scott and Eli to go nuts because the pot will already be so big by the time it
just wanna
gets there,
win.
you know.
And so now, by Scott just calling, you can argue his hand's a little under rep, so to speak. And now here's Eli with a massive hand.
Ace high.
Raise it.
Me
Yeah.
running
1,000.
2 times to ram. He
I
gets
saw
the
it. That was bad, man. I'm sorry.
It's
I felt
interesting
bad.
because I think if Scott was here, you know, if he was watching this the whole time, he would know that like Eli's playing a little ridiculous, but I don't think he's ever raising this spotlight, you know.
Oh, I think Eli actually does check raise flops a lot, like more than most people do, or that you should.
But here, on
But
this
not on this
spot.
board texture, right? He's doing it on more dry boards and more boards where there's a lot more fold equity, not on this type of texture.
Especially when someone else leads out like 60% pot and the pre-flop raiser calls. I mean, you just like it's really thin to think that like you're just gonna get through with raising with like Jack 9 or whatever it may be, 4 or 5.
We got a turn.
And a call from Scott. 3K in the pot.
Something real wet out there.
And that is a kind of wet.
It's definitely
It's a wet
card
card
to
right
see.
there. I mean, 9-10 gets there now. So if he's check raising with an open ender or combo draw,
Bet.
now he got there.
2,300.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I guess 4 or 5.
This is
five-
such a
9, 10.
big bet by Eli. I just feel like Scott probably should be folding versus Eli's range here.
Yeah.
But there's always that thought that like your opponent is trying to make a move against the main event champion.
Yeah, the only problem is that this hand started with him making a move on 2 people, not only the main event champion. You know, like when he check raised, there was a 3rd person in the hand, so I think that Scott should have less of those fears. Yeah, this is a really rough spot for him. He should certainly be folding.
I mean, what are you beating? You're beating like Jack 9 of diamonds
You're
here.
not beating shit. Excuse my French. You're really not beating much of anything. Yeah, I just think Jack 9 shuts down. Like, I don't think that's a... I don't think Jack 9 even ends up here in the first place.
Jack 9 of diamonds.
All in. Player goes
Oh no,
all
an
in.
all in from Scott.
Scott
Wow,
has
this
it.
isn't even a fist pump for Eli.
I have to say, I hate this all in more than I hate calling.
All right,
Yeah.
It's
I'll
not
give
having
you
nothing to do with what Eli has. I
What do you
just
do
think
for
that-
Eli here? This is not an easy spot.
Not an easy spot, but you don't fold. I just don't think. Given you're getting 2.5 to 1, it's definitely not a great spot, and especially with the cards you have, you cut out like all of his realistic 2-pair combos. You know, Scott was the raiser pre-flop, so the idea that he has like 6-8 suited, 7-8 suited, 6-7 suited. It's very difficult when you hold the
Yeah.
7 and the 8, which leads you to believe that, you know, he has 6-6, which I guess is like impossible. But 9-10, and I didn't even know, ace-9 of diamonds, perhaps. I mean, I think you just have to call.
I don't love the shove by Scott because you're just dead when you get called.
Yes.
Most of the time.
I mean, I guess the guy, yeah, like the guy could have the Jack 9 of diamonds and other hands like that, but yeah, for sure, it's not a great spot for you when you get called. I would just call and play a river personally.
It seems like Scott's just not sure what to do there, so he's just shoving, hoping that Eli's making a move or deny his equity or that Eli's on a combo draw.
I think the other mistake he's making here is that like you can call the turn and the river can be like
2,000.
the 9 of diamonds, and like you can win a hand when you're
3,000.
behind. Like if he checks to you, you shove. There's a lot of different
77.
board ways the board texture changes on the river. A lot
Or-
of things can happen that like good stuff.
Or when one of those cards comes off and your opponent still
4,000
bets, then you
right
can just
here.
fold easily.
Right, or they check and you check and you lose, don't
45,
lose the other
46,
5K.
47,
Whatever. Like there's a
48.
lot of different things that can happen on the river that are good for you, but
75.
this is rough.
Do you think that part of this just comes down to Scott not being super experienced in super deep stack cash and being in this interesting structure in the Ante game?
Has to have something to do with it, yeah. And I also think that,
You call? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Once or twice?
And he calls, and we have
This is a
a.
nice
Oh my
size.
God, this is a huge pot.
$17,500.
$17,500. They're gonna go twice, and Scott is live to a king 6 or 3.
Okay, twice.
Scotty Blum.
This is a massive pot.
See, that's what I was talking about right there. You don't lose the other 5K, or you just win the hand, and Scott gets stacked.
Oh, wow.
Wow, and look at Eli's stack. He bought it 5K, and now he has almost $24,000. The guy's up almost $19,000 today. He's winning more. He's winning more than double today that he won in the sit and go first place
That he won,
yesterday.
yeah, that's pretty bizarre.
What a hand! $17,500 pot. Eli takes down the 2017 World Series of Poker main event champion, Scott Blumstein. This is not Scott Blumstein week. Apparently, this is Eli week.
This is Eli week, and I think that for what it's worth, that river was exactly what we were talking about. The 5 of diamonds. I mean, either A, Scott doesn't lose the other 5K, or B, Scott wins the hand. If Eli checks the river and Scott shoves, Eli folds. He just has to. It's 8, 7, 6, 5, 3 diamonds. So there's nothing else he could do. Instead, Eli is rich, and that's what it is. It's pretty ridiculous. Congrats to Eli on that hand. That was nuts. And I'm gonna go hug Scott. I think that's the play here for me.
What's it? That's the question.
You're right. You're right.
Wow.
Sometimes
That was
it
pretty
is
nuts.
worse than what you have.
Wowzers, Bowsers.
When you make a book, I will buy it. How to read people.
And yeah, I mean, obviously for us sitting in these seats, it's really easy to talk about what people should do and what's going on. But you know,
I wasn't kicking. I was pretty confident where I was.
Oh, really? He said you had
I just thought I was just like,
man, that's
I
a
was just
tough
he's running
spot.
so
That
good. Like he just
sucks.
had like 9 out of diamonds.
Scotty Blum hits the felt, and I guess he will not buy back in. He did go around and shake everyone's hand and say good game. He's a good kid, but he got
Now I'm gonna hit
stacked.
a 3.